What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Kent. I'm here with my friend Brent. So today we're going to talk about, is love worth it anymore? I'm gonna get, because I talked about this before by myself, and so now I got a friend that I'm gonna talk to about it to get his point of view on it. Because when I talked about it the first time, in my opinion, do I think love is worth it? I do, if you find the right connection, the right person who wants to work with you and build with you, I believe that is worth it. Now, you're going to find people who don't want the same thing as you do. And I get that. And yes, you're going to find some bad seeds through you trying to find the one that's perfect for you. So, in my opinion, do I think love is worth it? I do. I do. You just gotta find the right person to settle down with and want to build a connection with. Who do you want to grow with? Like somebody told me, it's not that relationships don't work out. Like, it's pretty much like you're going through a storm in a ship. Usually the captain goes down with the ship, and the captain picks certain people to go with him on the mission on that ship. So the captain only chooses the people he trusts, the people he wants to go through the bullshit with. So it's the same thing in a relationship. It's not that you're not gonna, like, y'all gonna fight, you're gonna have arguments. It's not gonna be pretty sometimes. But the matter of fact is, who do you want to go through the bullshit with? That is the question you gotta ask yourself. So, Brent, so do you think love is worth it anymore?
I think that love is worth it, but you got to take it seriously. You can't just expect somebody to fall in love with you after 3 days or even 2 weeks. It takes months, sometimes years. And you have to accept each other's lifestyles. You can't just say, well, I want them to make them do exactly what I do every day. It doesn't work out that way. There has to be acceptance, on the same page, a team, not just one over the other. And the problem with so many modern relationships is social media gets in the way. There's too much lying and manipulation over the internet. And the internet isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when you're only using those cognitive skills in technology, it's not real. It's just, you're just kind of just kind of going back and forth like high school. But you need to be in a social setting, concerts, festivals, working out at the gym, or even just going outside to the park, just talking for about an hour, 2 hours. But people are so impatient; they just want to shove love down somebody's throat without earning it. And I think that's the problem. And also, you have a lot of people that are just womanizing and manizing. And manizing is just a term which means women have multiple men that they're dating at once. You got to pick one. You got to pick one woman, one man. There's nothing wrong with dating multiple people, but separately, not all at once. And if you just want a one night stand, then maybe you should clarify that before you start living with somebody for a month and say, well, I don't really want to just be in that type of relationship. I'd rather just kind of have this Vegas, Florida type of thing where, I have a sex life, but you do your own thing, I do my own thing, and I don't want to live with you. I don't want to be with you. And it sounds kind of selfish when you say that out loud, but some people want that for some reason. They don't want a close relationship. They say, well, I'm happy with my work. I want an adult sexual relationship, but I don't want this other thing because I'm not ready to have that, commitment yet. And I don't understand how people our age and their mid to late 30s could still be, going after, women who are obviously not mature enough to be with them, and they're just kind of juggling women. It's like you gotta have some seriousness about it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with an age gap with a woman as long as it's a normal age gap. It's not, you're not dating somebody that's in high school or somebody that is just, not at the same maturity level, period. And that's another problem is you see these guys our age that just, they go out and they date younger women. It sounds nice,
But does it matter? Like it's like people say age is just a number. So does it really matter if they're 18 or 19 or 20 or 21 and you're in your 30s or 40s? As long as they're legal and they're both happy with each other, why destroy that?
well, there's one negative to that. If you date an 18-year-old and you're 30 or 35 or even 29, they haven't gone through what you've gone through in terms of, we've gone through the messy relationships. We've had hardcore relationships with women, adults. Many 18-year-old women have not. You are their first, I should say, man, not a boy, not somebody from high school. And it is a learning experience. It can be destructive if, when she does age with you, she's like, well, I'm tired of this. I don't want this. I want something else. And sometimes they do want kids too early, where it's like they pressure you, well, I want to have kids now, but they don't have a secure job. They're not in school. If they want to be a homemaker and stay at home with the kids, I don't have a problem with that. If some young woman says, listen, I don't really want to go to school. I don't want to go to I don't want to go to a I don't want to go through a job program, or I don't want to have some giant career. That's fine. They just say that up front. But the problem is when there's a big difference between a 36-year-old dating a 22-year-old or a 25-year-old than a 38-year-old dating an 18-year-old. It is different because, they haven't gone through even college yet. And you don't have to go to college, but college does I know college helped me out in dating adults, meaning, I had my first serious relationships, my first kiss, all these things. And when you get an 18-year-old girl, she hasn't, most of them, not all of them, I don't want to generalize, have not gone through that unless they've maybe grown up in a ghetto area or a place where they're exposed to adults at a very young age.
Well, I mean, I get that. Like, I do. Like, I understand what you're coming from and what you're saying.
It's tough.
But okay, let's just do a play by play here. Okay, let's say you're going to a club and you with your boys and y'all having a good time. You're looking fresh haircut, fresh kicks, fresh clothes, and you go into the club. And let's say there's 4 of y'all, and you 4 just walk into the club. Y'all go to the bar, get your 4 drinks, and y'all go somewhere to sit down. And 4 girls come up to you. Let's just say one's 19, one's 21, one's 25, and one's 36. But between those 4 girls, they all have their issues. So let's just say the 36-year-old has 3 kids but no job, but she has her house. Let's say the 25-year-old has no kids, she has her own house and a job. And the 19-year-old has a house and a car and somewhat has a job, but she's in school. And the 18-year-old, she's at home with her parents, and her parents are just giving her money whenever she wants to, or she wants to ask for it. So in that particular moment, which girl do you think sounds more attracting? The 18-year-old, the 19-year-old, 25-year-old, or 36-year-old?
Well, it's interesting the way you put it, because when you break it down, it is all about attitude too. Like, the 18-year-old could be more mature than the 19-year-old if she accepts the fact she's dating an older man, and that she's in a situation where she's not really making money. She's getting money from her parents, yes, which is not totally bad, but not totally good. She's fresh. She's just right. So it's really depends on the attitude. I mean, the 36-year-old with 3 kids could be completely mature, but then she could be completely unstable too. And that goes same for the 25-year-old. it all depends, in my opinion, on the attitude and the maturity level. And if you accept the situation, and if they accept the situation that they're in and say, listen, I want to make this better. So if the 36-year-old comes and he says, listen, I do have 3 kids, Brent. It's I know you're not a big fan of kids, but the kids are taken care of. The father is not just, some bum selling drugs and,
Right.
So that kind of makes it better because it's like, I'm not anti-children. It's just, it is tough because I've never taken care of kids really. I've babysat my nephews, but that's family. That's a different story. That's not a single mother's children.
Right.
But it really depends on attitude. You got to be straightforward. So if the 25-year-old says, well, listen, I don't want to have kids. I like the way things are. But I want to, and I want to ensure that you're on the same page. It's like, yeah, that's great, but you got to be on the same page. You can't just spring it years later. So if I date the 18-year-old, for example, and says, she's like, well, I don't want to have kids right now. I want to go to college, or I want to get I want to be a dancer or be a singer, or something like that. I was like, okay, that's great. I'll support that. But then 15, 20 years down the road, I'm much older. I'm not, 36 anymore. I'm 46 or I'm 50, and I'm going to be at a stage, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to have the energy to raise a young child. But then she says, well, but that's what I want. I was like, well, but that's the problem. You should have told me that about 20 years ago that you wanted a kid. And see, and it's tough. I know it's pressure too.
My bad. I got my phones connected to this thing.
Oh, okay. No problem. I was like, what was that? But anyway, it's tough because when you're in a long-term relationship, things change, and you don't want to put pressure on a woman, especially if they're younger. But again, everything has to be up front, and that's one of the things I've realized when I was in college going out with women is that the bad relationships I did have with women, a lot of it was because they were not being completely forward with me. They didn't say, okay, well, I want this. I want that. I was like, well, just tell me. I was very honest with most of the women I went out with. I said, listen, I like the way things are, and I want us to get along. But things are complicated. I understand that. Sometimes people get pregnant, and they don't mean to get pregnant because of either a condom is faulty or it just happened. You took the precautions and it happened. So I understand that too. I know it's not a protection is not completely 1,000% sure, but you got to take it seriously. If you're in a long-term relationship that involves sex, of course you have to take precautions. You have to be. So it's complicated. And nowadays in 2023, relationships are much different now than our parents in the 70s and 80s. It was much different. I mean, first off, there wasn't internet all over the place, so there wasn't any social media. Most people met each other at parties.
Right.
And clubs and bars and disco dances, all that stuff.
So pretty much what you're saying is, if you find the right person, the right connection, and the right energy, love is worth it.
Yeah, if they have the right attitude, and if they go into an attitude where, they're just forcing, they're just like, well, they're forcing kids or they're forcing you to buy an expensive house. Listen, you don't have to make millions of dollars to be happy, and that's the other problem.
Yeah. But we're just talking. We got a little off track.
Oh, so my bad.
Subject. but anyway, well, for my opinion, I think love is worth it, and for his opinion, for Brent, he says the same thing. Love is worth it if you find the right person, you have the right connection, and y'all really want that connection and make it work. Love is perfect. Love is magical. So if you're having a bad time trying to find a special someone, don't give up. You'll find that special someone one day. Don't rush it. Just let it come to you. Because at the darkest time, that's when the right person is going to come into your life. You just got to be patient. You just got to wait. But that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you, Brent, for coming in.
No problem.
I really appreciate it. But today, it was pretty much, is love worth it? I think it is. So does he. So Till next time. Peace.